It probably was another draw, but I thought Beterbiev was slightly edging it, to be honest. I thought he was edging it a little bit. And then when he cut him in the last round, I'm like, okay, it's either going to be 6-6 or 7-5. I was actually shocked to hear, I think 116, 112. Neither guy won 8 rounds to me.
I think it is extremely bullshit. It seems like they awarded Bivol the win for making it to the finish line. Because he didn't win that fight.
Joe Rogan slams the judges for the Betterbiev versus Bivol fight, calling it a robbery. He says the scoring was a disgrace, robbing the real winner. The boxing world is buzzing, and fans are demanding justice. Frank Warren also wasn't fully satisfied with the result, and is already pushing for a trilogy to settle the debate once and for all. He stated, "Probably the two best of their generation and probably of the 21st century. Unbelievable. Unbelievable fight, much better than the first one. They gave their all, and we're going to get probably a trilogy out of it now." But while Warren hypes up a third fight, many fans believe Bivol was robbed and see no point in another rematch if judging issues remain. Others argue that Betterbiev's relentless pressure was enough to justify the win, regardless of the scorecards. The controversy has reignited frustrations over boxing's judging system, with more voices calling for major reforms. The debate is intensifying, with emotions running high on both sides. Whether fair or not, this fight has left the sport shaken, and the rivalry is far from settled. Coach Stephen Edwards also believed Beterbiev deserved the victory, but pointed out a different issue: biased commentary. He felt the broadcast team heavily favored Bivol, making it seem like he was doing better than he actually was. According to Edwards, this wasn't the first time Bivol received this kind of treatment, and he warned that if the fight had been closer, the judges might have leaned toward Bivol again.
I thought it was a great fight. Uh, I don't like the way the announcers favor everything Bivol does. I'm being totally honest. With the first part of the fight, I think I saw something up on the screen, but Beterbiev had a good round, and they were showing highlights of Bivol. The same thing happened in the first fight. I picked Beterbiev, but I honestly was saying to myself, if it's close again, they're going to give it to Bivol.
His comments have sparked another debate. Was Bivol actually winning more rounds, or did the commentary just make it seem that way? Some fans agree that biased announcing can influence how a fight is perceived, while others argue that Bivol genuinely outperformed Beterbiev in key moments. The controversy isn't just about the scorecards anymore. It's about how the entire fight was framed. The fallout continues, and this debate isn't dying down anytime soon. Edwards further added even more to the debate, saying that the fight was razor close and could have easily been scored a draw. He acknowledged that both fighters gave everything, and that neither man clearly dominated the other. In his view, the fight came down to the final rounds, where Beterbiev edged it by winning 2 of the last 3.
So Bivol fought his butt off again. And to me, it's no real separation between the two. The fight looked like it was a drawish kind of fight again. You know, down the stretch, I thought Beterbiev won the 10th, Bivol won the 11th, and Beterbiev won the 12th. I thought that the fight was in the balance going down the stretch.
His take has divided fans even further. Some agree that the fight was extremely close and that a draw would have been fair, while others believe Beterbiev's pressure should have given him a clearer win. Meanwhile, Bivol's supporters argue that he did enough to take it, even in a tight contest. With no clear consensus, the controversy surrounding this fight continues to grow, and the calls for a trilogy are only getting louder. Adding to his analysis, Edwards also pointed out that Beterbiev took control in the middle rounds, while Bivol mounted a strong comeback later. He felt that Beterbiev wasn't given enough credit for his early work, especially in the first round. In his view, Beterbiev came out strong, setting the pace and landing solid shots. However, he was surprised to hear some people say Bivol was up 30-27 after 3 rounds, as he believed the first round was too close to call a clear win for Bivol. He argued that while not much happened in the opening round, it still had to be scored properly, and dismissing Beterbiev's early efforts was unfair.
I thought Beterbiev took over the middle rounds. Bivol came back on. It was a back and forth kind of thing. I thought Beterbiev wasn't getting enough credit for the earlier. But like the first round, I thought Beterbiev won. But somebody said that Bivol was up 30-27. I'm like, I think Beterbiev might have won the first round. Much didn't happen, but it still has to be scored. They're really, really hard to separate.
His comments have only fueled the growing debate. Some fans and analysts now believe Beterbiev's early success was overlooked, due to the broadcast team's focus on Bivol's movement and counters. Others maintain that Bivol's late surge was more impressive, especially in the championship rounds. The fight saw constant momentum shifts, making it incredibly difficult to score. With no clear separation between the two, the controversy continues to grow. Fans remain divided, and the demand for a trilogy fight is reaching new heights. If a third fight happens, it could be the final chapter in one of boxing's most heated rivalries. Edwards has taken his criticism even further, addressing what he sees as a serious issue in boxing: biased commentary influencing public perception. He believes that commentators should remain completely objective, but instead, he feels that they often push a certain narrative. In his opinion, the bias was clear in this fight, just as it was in their first encounter. He argued that for 2 fights in a row, the commentary team consistently favored Bivol, even when the action in the ring didn't fully support that narrative. Edwards even pointed out that the replays shown during the broadcast seemed to highlight Bivol's moments more than Betterbiev's, further shaping the perception of who was winning.
It's something that I'm not calling anybody out, but something that's happened in boxing that I just think that we just need to address. You know, the commentators have to be completely objective. And I feel like that a lot of times they're biased. I feel like they have an agenda. I feel like that for 2 fights in a row, they favor Beterbiev. They favor Bivol consistently, even with the replays.
His statements have added another layer to the ongoing debate. Some fans agree that biased commentary can sway public opinion and even influence judges sitting ringside. Others believe that Bivol simply had a more visually appealing style, which naturally caught the attention of the broadcasters. Either way, the fight isn't just being judged in the ring anymore. It's now being dissected from every angle, including how it was presented to the world. As the controversy builds, calls for fairer and more balanced commentary in boxing are growing louder. Edwards has raised yet another concern: ringside integrity. He believes that the area around the ring should be strictly controlled, with only judges, officials, and cornermen allowed near the action. In his eyes, the current setup compromises the fairness of big fights. He pointed out that too many people, including promoters, are moving around near the judges, creating potential conflicts of interest. Even worse, he suggested that promoters might be getting access to scorecards before the fight is over, allowing them to inform their fighters' teams about what's happening. Edwards also mentioned that some promoters are shouting instructions near judges, creating an environment where outside influence could impact scoring.
I also feel like that corral around the ring, nobody should be there except for judges, officials, and the cornermen of the fighters. You got so many people walking around in that area. It compromises the integrity of the fight. I'm not calling anybody out, but you got promoters that can see the scorecards and let the team know what's happening. You got promoters that screaming near judges. Promoters pay the judges a per diem to fight, to work the fight.
His claims have sparked outrage among fans, with many calling for stricter regulations on who can be ringside during major fights. The idea that promoters could have access to scorecards or be influencing officials has only added fuel to the fire surrounding boxing's judging controversy. While some believe Edwards is simply voicing long-standing concerns, others see this as proof that the sport needs major reforms. With more eyes on boxing's officiating process than ever before, pressure is mounting for changes that could restore trust in the sport. Edwards has doubled down, saying that promoters being so close to judges isn't just unethical, it could directly influence scoring. He highlighted how a promoter standing right behind a judge, yelling for their fighter, can create an intimidating environment. While he wasn't outright accusing anyone of corruption, he made it clear that human nature plays a role. Judges, after all, are only human, and having someone with a vested interest in the fight towering over them could subconsciously affect their decisions. Edwards also pointed out that some promoters have even been seen looking over judges' scorecards mid-fight, raising serious concerns about transparency and fairness.
So judges, I'm not saying it does, but it can intimidate a judge by having a promoter stand right over top of them, like screaming and hollering, "I want my guy to win." You know who he's rooting for. That influences you. These judges are human beings. I don't think that should be. You shouldn't have promoters walking behind judges' scorecards looking at it.
His words have struck a nerve in the boxing community. Many fans agree that judges should be able to work without outside pressure, and that having promoters hovering near them is a serious conflict of interest. Others argue that while it might not be outright corruption, it creates an unfair environment where certain fighters have an advantage before the final bell even rings. With each passing controversy, the demand for reform in boxing's officiating and judging system is growing stronger. Edwards' comments have only added to the calls for stricter enforcement of rules to ensure that fights are judged fairly, without any outside influence. Former fighter and boxing analyst Lonnie B has entered the conversation, making a bold claim that the judging wasn't just questionable, it was outright favoritism toward Bivol. He stated that while he gave Bivol the first 2 rounds, the middle of the fight was all Beterbiev. According to him, Bivol didn't do enough in rounds 3 through 9 to justify winning, and he was even in serious trouble in the final rounds. Lonnie B pointed out that Bivol nearly got stopped in both the 11th and 12th rounds, yet the judges still scored the fight in his favor.
Okay, I gave him the first 2 rounds, but y'all go sit here and act like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 that he did what? He did nothing in the middle of the fight. Nothing. He lost all those rounds clearly. And if you really look at 10, you can say round he did all right in the 10, did good in the 11th, and almost got stopped in the 12th. So how do you have him? I just think my personal opinion, I just think they got it out for Arthur because he's 40 years old, and Bivol's the younger guy, and he got more of the American style that everybody likes. So I figured they said, you know what, if he gets to the finish line, we give him the victory. But he didn't win the fight. He didn't win. I feel like they gave him that win out of sympathy.
His most controversial statement, however, was his belief that Beterbiev was set up to lose because of his age. Lonnie B suggested that at 40 years old, Beterbiev was seen as the less marketable fighter compared to the younger, slicker Bivol, who has a style that appeals more to American audiences. He argued that the judges had already decided that if Bivol made it to the final bell, they would give him the victory, regardless of what actually happened in the ring. These comments have ignited yet another layer of controversy. Some fans agree, saying that boxing has a history of favoring younger, more promotable fighters over aging champions. Others dismiss this claim, believing Bivol earned his victory fair and square. The debate over the judging continues to rage, and the accusations of bias only add to the fire. With so much division over the outcome, many are now saying the only way to settle this once and for all is with a trilogy fight. However, Lonnie B has a different perspective. While many are calling for a third fight between Beterbiev and Bivol, he believes it shouldn't happen. Instead, he thinks Beterbiev has already done enough in his career and should move on to different challenges. He stated, "My personal opinion, I think Artur has done enough in the sport. He gave us great fights, exciting fights. People want to see him and David Benavidez, which would be a firecracker. I don't think he should fight Bivol again." With this take, Lonnie B shifts the conversation from controversy to legacy. Rather than running it back with Bivol, he believes Beterbiev should chase a new challenge, such as a fight against the rising powerhouse David Benavidez. Many fans have long speculated about a potential matchup between the two, and Lonnie B sees it as the more exciting option. His comments have divided opinions once again. Some believe Beterbiev versus Benavidez would be a more thrilling fight, featuring 2 aggressive power punchers who never take a step back. Others argue that Beterbiev should first settle the unfinished business with Bivol before moving on to new challenges. One thing is certain, Beterbiev remains one of the most feared and respected fighters in the sport, and whether it's a trilogy with Bivol or a showdown with Benavidez, the boxing world will be watching closely. Boxing insider Spencer Brown has weighed in, shifting the conversation to what the event itself meant for the sport. While the judging has been controversial, Brown believes the card delivered something rare in boxing, pure, edge-of-your-seat excitement from start to finish. He stated, "It was the greatest card ever, and it proved it was. Yeah, unbelievable. That last fight, you couldn't look away for a minute. And to be honest, I thought maybe Beterbiev won it. I probably thought he won." Brown's comments highlight what many fans felt on fight night. Regardless of the outcome, the event itself was unforgettable. The back-and-forth action in the main event had fans on the edge of their seats, and even though the scoring has been hotly debated, no one can deny that it was one of the most thrilling fights in recent memory. His statement also adds another voice to the growing list of people who believe Beterbiev did enough to win. While Brown stops short of calling it a robbery, his words echo the sentiment that the fight was extremely close, and the decision could have gone either way. The discussion isn't just about who won, but about how this fight and the entire card set a new standard for boxing events. Meanwhile, Dmitry Bivol has made it clear he does not believe believe this was a close fight. In his mind, he earned the victory fair and square and sees no controversy in the result. While many fans and analysts are debating the decision, Bivol remains confident that he was the rightful winner and has no doubts about the judge's call. At the post-fight press conference, Bivol also addressed the possibility of a trilogy. If Beterbiev and his team want to run it back, he is open to making it happen. However, he is not fixated on a third fight and is ready for any big challenge that comes his way, whether it's a trilogy, a showdown with David Benavidez, or a long-awaited super fight with Canelo Alvarez. Bivol is keeping all options open.
I'm open for any fight, but today I wanna enjoy that I'm undisputed champion. I wanna take care of my health because I have some issues. I wanna heal myself and then move forward again. Doesn't matter, trilogy, Benavidez, Canelo, or as always, I'm just waiting offer, and I'm saying yes.
His response shows that he is ready to move forward, but he is not dismissing the idea of another fight with Beterbiev. With fans split over the decision and many calling for a third fight, the ball is now in the promoter's court. If the demand is strong enough, a trilogy could be inevitable. However, if Bivol decides to pursue new challenges, the division could be looking at fresh matchups that redefine the sports landscape. On the other hand, Beterbiev's trainer, Mark Ramsey, had a different perspective. Unlike Bivol, who is certain he won decisively, Ramsey openly admitted that the fight was extremely close. From his position in the corner, he knew that every round was competitive, and he couldn't assume his fighter was ahead on the scorecards. Because of this, he made sure to push Beterbiev in the final rounds, urging him to close the fight strong to leave no doubt.
We already know in the fight it was a very, very close fight. You know, as a trainer in the corner, I cannot, if a round is very close, I have to give to the other team. I know the fight was very close. I remember asking Archer, we need to win those two last rounds to make sure that we close the show, but that's it. We know that was close.
Ramsey's comments show that Beterbiev's corner understood the urgency of the moment. While Bivol saw the fight as a clear victory, Beterbiev's team knew they were in a razor-close battle that could have gone either way. This only adds to the controversy surrounding the decision. Some believe Bivol did enough early to secure the win, while others feel Beterbiev's late push should have sealed it for him. Either way, the division remains in a state of uncertainty, with both fighters standing firm in their perspectives. Whether this leads to a trilogy or separate paths for each fighter, one thing is certain: the boxing world is still buzzing. Now, the big question remains: will there be a trilogy? While fans and analysts continue to debate the decision, Ramsey is taking a more cautious approach when it comes to a third fight. He made it clear that the decision isn't entirely his, as it ultimately depends on Beterbiev's mindset and motivation. He stated, "We'll see. We're going to sit down. It's easy for me to say yes or no, but at the end of the day, I'm not the one taking the punches and giving the punches. I have to sit down with Artur and see exactly if he's still motivated, if he wants to do it. If he wants to do it, I would be on his side." His statement shows that while a trilogy is possible, it is far from guaranteed. Beterbiev, at 40 years old, has already been through 2 wars with Bivol, and his future depends on whether he still has the hunger for another grueling battle. Ramsey expressed full support for his fighter, saying that if Beterbiev wants to go for the trilogy, he will stand by him. However, if Beterbiev decides to move on or retire, Ramsey will respect that choice as well. With Bivol open to a third fight and Beterbiev's camp weighing their options, the decision now rests on Beterbiev himself. If he chooses to pursue the trilogy, it could be one of the most highly anticipated fights in recent boxing history. If not, both men could go their separate ways, leaving fans to wonder what could have been. The boxing world now waits for Beterbiev's next move. While Beterbiev and his team take time to decide their next steps, Bivol's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has made his stance very clear. There is no controversy in this result. Unlike the first fight, where he admitted there could have been arguments about the outcome, Hearn believes this time there was no doubt that Bivol won. He even went as far as to claim that someone attempted to rob Bivol by trying to score the fight as a draw.
I feel like he deserved it first time around. No arguments this time, even though someone tried to rob us with a draw. It was a clear win, and I'm so happy for him. Yes. I mean, the fight was different this time. Last time, probably Bivol faded a little bit and Beterbiev come strong at the end. This time, Beterbiev started fast, but probably tired a little bit when Bivol just turned the screw. And I didn't think he could turn the screw necessarily at that stage. It was a one-way traffic for those couple of rounds, and he looked so dangerous. And again, the skill and the composure and the concentration was just incredible.
Hearn also broke down the fight itself, explaining how this rematch played out differently from their first encounter. He noted that in the first fight, Bivol faded slightly in the later rounds while Beterbiev came on strong. However, this time, Beterbiev started fast but seemed to tire as the fight went on. According to Hearn, Bivol took full advantage of this and turned up the pressure in the later rounds, making it one-way traffic. He praised Bivol's skill, composure, and ability to adjust mid-fight, saying that his performance was nothing short of incredible. Hearn's comments only add to the growing divide in opinions surrounding this fight. While Beterbiev Betterbiev's camp insists the fight was razor close, Hearn sees it as a dominant, undeniable win for Bivol. With the boxing world still debating the result, the demand for a trilogy remains strong, but whether it actually happens will depend on Betterbiev's decision. If he chooses to move on, Bivol may be headed for other blockbuster fights, with names like Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez already being discussed as potential next opponents. The aftermath of Bivol versus Beterbiev II has left the boxing world divided. While some see it as a clear victory for Bivol, others believe Beterbiev did enough to win, or at the very least, that the fight was close enough to warrant a trilogy. From Joe Rogan's criticism of the judging to concerns about biased commentary and ringside integrity, this fight has sparked debates that go far beyond just the scorecards. With so much uncertainty surrounding what's next, the biggest question remains: will we get a trilogy? If not, what does the future hold for both fighters? Should Bivol take on new challenges, or does Beterbiev deserve one last shot? Does boxing need to address concerns over judging, commentary bias, and promoter influence to restore fans' trust in the sport? What do you think? Was this a clear win for Bivol, or did Beterbiev deserve more credit? Should there be a trilogy, or is it time for both fighters to move on? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.